This is one of the most spectacular highways in the world, leading from Sodom to Gomorrah, or so it seems. Anyhow, it is cutting through a plain which in biblical times had been stricken with fire and brimstone. Today it is the road to Eilat, Israel's southernmost port. Mile after mile of sandy wastes and eroded soil, part of a rift which extends from the Dead Sea to the Red Sea. The valley is named Arava, Hebrew for desert plain. And so is the dried out river, which the prophet Amos called the river of the wilderness. Dried out is the whole valley, and whoever in human memory traveled here had to be well stocked with water. The transformation of this wasteland into a chain of flourishing communities is one of the historic tasks confronting the present generation of the people of Israel. Noon temperatures are well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the little rainfall, which averages 1.5 inches, makes any sort of vegetation scarce. And yet some plants do grow among the sand and gravel. This tree, the oldest one in Israel, a jujube tree, is a forest unto itself. It has seen the changes of time and history. Armies conquered and conquering past its foliage. Who knows whether beneath its spreading shade, the biblical patriarchs rested. There is a strange rock formation known as the Pillars of Solomon. Erosion has cut the cliff into 5 giant half columns. One might imagine altars built at the base of these columns and wonder at the forces of nature that shape this mighty temple. Research among the early Iron Age sites of the Arava indicate that people lived here back in the 13th and 12th century before the present era. During their wandering toward Canaan, the Israelites stopped at several places in the Arava. The Queen of Sheba made this part of her 200-mile journey to Jerusalem with a great camel caravan laden with gold, precious stones, and spices. Among the archaeological finds in the area are some jars which may have belonged to an agent of the myrrh and incense trade plying the route from South Arabia. In such a jar, the Queen of Sheba may have brought some of her gifts to King Solomon. This might be the Valley of the Smith, described in the Book of Chronicles. The mines of the Arava are among the largest anywhere found in the ancient world, furnishing iron and copper for Solomon and wealth for his commerce. There the metals were smelted, refined, and sold at faraway markets, shipped in Solomon's navy. In 1957, some Jewish pioneers pitched their tents some 26 miles north of Eilat, not knowing whether their experiment would survive even one season. They started to work the soil, which was covered by a salt layer, and below the crust they found good, loose soil. Today, Yotvata is a garden in the desert. Seventy of its children were born in the settlement. Yotvata is situated on one of the largest sources of water in the Arava and was first settled in ancient times. It is mentioned in the Bible as one of the resting places of the children of Israel on their journey to the Promised Land. The cowshed boasts over 300 cows. The modern dairy delivers fresh milk drinks to Eilat and Beersheba. The vast, empty expanse of the Arava is a challenge. It must be linked to the body of Israel by a living chain of settlements, and a huge area so far barred to agriculture must be opened up. But each piece of land, before it comes under the plow, has literally to be wrested from the wilderness. What does a farmer need? Water and soil. Water has been dug in various places. Though some of the wells are brackish and do not yield drinking water, they are useful enough for irrigation. These are the tomato gardens of Hatseva, another oasis in the Arava, about 100 miles from Eilat. Here the age-old drama between man and nature is being repeated again. Where hardly any green mitigated the bareness and no plant relieved the deadly petrifaction, tomatoes yield a good crop. The lonely spaces of the desert can be conquered. The very earth can be built and renewed. But from where to take the soil? It is being lifted from under the layer of sand and taken across a distance of half a mile. This is soil transfer on a big scale, from a riverbed to the potential fields. Some 150,000 cubic meters of earth are being moved for a twofold purpose. The water course is being deepened to 15 feet over a 160-yard wide stretch and a 2,000-yard-long embankment put up to stop the runoff from the surrounding mountains. At the same time, the good soil that is scooped up is being deposited half a meter thick on the sterile desert crust. This operation is being carried out by Israel's land development agency, the Keren Kayemet, which provides the know-how, the experts, the machines. Another 800 dunams will be added to the 400 dunams that have been already reclaimed. In some places, the soil is deep enough that plowing is possible to a depth of 6 feet. 12 miles from Hatseva is En Yahav, another agricultural outpost in the Arava. The hostile Jordan frontier is only a little more than half a mile distant. In Roman times, this place served as a trading post, and later on, pilgrims used it as a caravan station on the way from Damascus to Mecca. In our times, various attempts at settlement were made in 1950 and again in 1953. Finally, a group of youths from cooperative villages settled here permanently in 1959 and moved to the present location in 1968. Nearby is Rachel's Spring, one of the ancient watering places. Some of the wells contain as much as 800 milligrams of chloride, too salty for drinking, but just right for some of the plants. Day and night, this water is being pumped through plastic hoses to a 200 dunam date plantation. Drip, drip, drip. The Israelis call it drip irrigation. Date palms seem to like brackish water. The saltier the water, the sweeter the fruit. Which kinds of trees are best suited to local conditions? Take, for instance, these tamarisks, acacias, pines. The Keren Kayemet has planted 50 dunams to find out. At the same time, the trees serve as a screen against sandstorms and give shelter to birds. Yes, there are birds in the Arava, not any longer vultures and eagles only, but little birds. En Yahav is full of surprises. It even has a little zoo, stocked with local fauna. No, these are no legendary unicorns, just a pair of wide-eyed gazelles. If you ever thought that a desert is no place for a museum, you have not counted on En Yahav. Take your choice: fossils, petrified wasps, hyena footprints embedded in stone, and skeletal remains of giants of another age. The pride of the settlement is 25 children, most of them under 6. Soon the first class of an elementary school will be opened. Another island of civilization in an ocean of wilderness, a man-made oasis. 20 farmsteads have 30 dunams each, and the blueprint is ready for adding another 70 farmsteads. "10 miles further south, a dangerous gap is being closed. This is the point which the Egyptians and Jordanians before the Six-Day War planned to be their meeting place. From documents later discovered, it appeared that the Egyptians wanted to cut through the Arava in this area, join up with King Hussein's legion, and thus isolate Eilat. Instead of tanks, plows have now begun operating, and another settlement is being set up here. Experience has proved that farming in the Arava is possible, even rewarding. Grofit is another such success story. The hot climate has been turned into an enormous advantage by raising out-of-season vegetables. The houses stand high up on a hill. The fields and gardens are down in the valley, near the Arava River. The settlers have learned not to trust the dried-out riverbed, which no water seems to have touched for ages. A dam is being built by the Keren Kayemet to protect the crops from flash floods rushing down unsuspectedly on any winter's day. "500 dunams of land yield their produce, and another 200 dunams are being reclaimed just now. In the valley there is plenty of space. Not so up on the hills where the village is situated. There is not enough room for a dining hall, a clinic, for farm buildings. What to do? The answer, move the mountain, at least the top. The top of a hill is being raised. 36 feet are being cut off the mountain's head to permit the village to grow. Over 100,000 cubic meters of earth had to be cleared by the Keren Kayemet in this earth-moving operation. It is no longer believed that the Arava must remain arid and uncultivated. More settlements are to go up. More tracts of land will be reclaimed. At the same time, a constant watch is kept on the border, which is close to all the newly established settlements. From beyond the border comes still the threat of violence and hostility. While it may never be possible to conquer the whole region agriculturally, a string of villages will nevertheless be established in the Arava. A new generation of Israelis is trying to reclaim this land, which has lain desolate for thousands of years. The great caravan route of old will become a highway of progress. The valley of the wilderness will become the valley of promise.